For those of you online, hello, and welcome to the first Forging Ahead Online Innovation Day by Telco Forge. Why are we doing this? Largely because of Telco Forge's mission to improve the telecoms industry. So if we're looking for ideas that might make the telecoms industry better, whether that's more dynamic, more commercially viable, more sustainable, or a more enjoyable place to work even, then we should expect a host of innovations coming out from the smaller players to be the things that do that. And maybe they'll just be incremental innovations, but we'll see. So this event puts those companies that are doing interesting things and wherever possible with demonstrations in front of you and also in front of the journalists and analysts who wouldn't normally get to see them at a time of year when there are fewer distractions to enable that. So today we'll have a sequence of 4 one-hour sessions focusing on different issues which will shape the viability of the telecoms industry. We'll explore the topics of creating new business, networking in space, securing the future, and engaging with enterprise. And thanks to our supporters, Viavi, Radisys, Dupwise AI, SES, and NI for making this happen. Now, in each session, we'll feature 2 or 3 short demos and talks from interesting companies. Some are working on things that will fill in your buzzword bingo card, and others are doing less showy things behind the scenes, which will just get on and solve problems. And then in each case, a panel of journalists and analysts will be invited to comment on the demonstrations that they've seen, ask questions to the presenters, and provide a sense of how they see what they've seen in the session fitting into the wider context of the industry, and give a sense of how relevant or impact they find what they've seen. And again, I would like to invite you, the online audience, to add your questions and comments too, and we'll feed that into the conversation. So to business then, and in particular in this, our first session, creating new business. The telecoms industry rarely has a problem inventing new technologies, but the challenge lies in converting them into new business models and new revenue streams. So I'll be asking some very different companies to share their ideas on this. Radisys, Eurecom and Aarav Solutions. And then we've got 3 formidable minds who've been steeped in the telecoms hype cycle for years now, and who can put them to the question and put their ideas in context for us. So I'll ask them to introduce themselves briefly now before we carry on. Keith, let's start with you, just in case there's anyone who doesn't know you.
I'm sure there are several that don't know me. Yes, I'm Keith Dyer. I'm the editor of a title called The Mobile Network. A little bit like Telco Forge, I would say. We're an independent media entity. We founded 12, 13 years ago now, and we also take a focus on the ecosystem, the breadth of the ecosystem in the mobile network technology space. So I'm looking forward to hear what we have over these next couple of hours.
Brilliant, thanks. And Ian, would you like to join in?
Cool. So yes, hello to everyone, those who know me and those who don't, but pleasure to be on this, and I think it's an exciting format. So just a few words about myself. So I've been in the industry way too long, and as you mentioned about being in the hype cycle for a long time, we tend to talk about things well before they're actually due to be talked about. But what I do is I'm mainly helping operators to with their digital transformation by actually working with vendors in the space who've got great ideas, and so I keep abreast of generally what's happening all the way from optical layer down up to 5G and RAN private networks. So I think I've got a reasonably good handle of things. Having said that, it's always good to hear new ideas and what's happening. So hopefully it'll be an interesting discussion.
Fantastic, thanks. And last but not least, Scott.
Thanks, Alex. I'm Scott Bacena. I'm editor of telecoms.com. Been doing that for over 11 years. In terms of coverage, we just try and find anything that justifies the URL, basically. And that probably ends up being more mobile than fixed, but it's a very broad spread. I was writing about things like tariffs and inflation this morning. And apart from that, some people might know me for a weekly podcast that I record with Ian Morris from Light Reading, who I think might be on this later on today. So yeah, that's it really. That's what I do.
Great, thanks, Scott. So with those introductions out of the way to business, I'd like to invite Ralph Page and Adnan Salim from Radisys to kick this off for us. Over to you.
Thank you. I'm just going to share my screen because I do have a couple of slides, being ex-Nortel from many years ago. Okay, so I'll do a quick intro of Radisys in a moment. You've got two of us on the call. So you've got Adnan Salim. He's the CTO for our digital engagement solutions. So he's here to answer all the really difficult questions. And I'm Ralph Page, and I'm the business development director for the same portfolio of products. And I'm here to answer the easy questions. And I'll be the arbiter of whether it's hard or simple. So hopefully you can see my screen. Can you just confirm?
Yeah.
Cool. All right. So let me start with a quick introduction to Radisys. So we are a global leader in open telecom solutions and a proud member of the Reliance Industries family. Founded in 1987, headquartered in the US, our portfolio delivers an open ecosystem play. So what I mean by that spans devices, wireless and fixed network infrastructure, application layer, and full lifecycle services. So our digital endpoints portfolio is really focused around smart IoT devices, smartphones, and reach point navigation, which enables operators to monetize geolocation services. Our Connect portfolio offers disaggregated Open RAN and small cell solutions and a full spectrum broadband access portfolio. We have our network services arm offering cross-domain vendor-neutral integrated pro services. And finally, our digital engagement and communication portfolio, which offers turnkey applications, rich APIs, SDKs, and pre-built application modules that enable telecom operators and enterprises to develop these communication and digital engagement services that I think we're going to be talking about today. So this element of our portfolio, which I look after from a business development point of view, is known as the Engaged Digital Platform, or EDP for short. So I guess the reason we're all here today is thanks to the dramatic improvements in technologies such as artificial intelligence, computer vision, natural language processing, and advanced speech analytics, which are taking digital communications with customers to a new level. And as we expect, telecom operators are hugely interested in how these new technologies can be utilized, to Alex's point, but also, most importantly, how to deliver fresh revenues. So examples are operators are now seeing many opportunities to reinvigorate their voice offerings, which, you know, was kind of just sitting there ticking over with these new innovative revenue generating services. So the Engaged Digital Platform, to finish the intro, enables operators themselves to rapidly develop these new AI-based comm services. But in addition, we've built our own applications using Engage to allow operators to deploy these services and accelerate their revenues. And those are what I'm going to focus on for the rest of my 8 minutes. So I'll just go to the last slide. Don't worry, I've only got 2. So what this slide is showcasing is some of the user cases and applications which Radisys has developed on the Engage platform. These are standalone applications, so they're available to be deployed today. But I want you to consider them also as a showcase of the art of the possible. Often operators look at what we've got and then they go, I like it, but can we do something else? And this is something we can do through our professional services team. So, for example, in a moment, I'll run a short video showcasing the live in-call translation application. Now, we originally built this service to be a voice-based application, but one of our early customers said, actually, we'd like to add translation capability. In essence, they wanted the parties to receive a transcription of the conversation in their own language after the call. So by using the existing transcription capability that's resident on the platform, we're able to easily and quickly incorporate this into the translation service. So as I said, I'm going to run a couple of short videos. I'm going to showcase the live call translation and the 5G new calling. I'll just quickly give you an overview of some of the other user cases on here in case they raise some questions. So the 5G network API and computer vision app showcases how media analytics can be used to monitor video and audio streams for certain inferences and then act upon them. The example we've got here that we showed at MWC is a gas facility being monitored for fire. If fire is detected, then the system automatically notifies security and starts recording. But the interesting element of this is it can also now take advantage of the latest network APIs that operators are offering to request, for example, higher quality link for improved video quality when an incident is detected. The Gen AI assistant can be built right into a customer's voice plan, answer questions, taking actions, even handling calls when they're unavailable. And being AI-based, the assistant gets smarter with every call, learning from past conversations to make future calls more efficient and boost productivity. Clarity is a revolutionary wellness software solution that's designed to enhance vocal intelligibility for individuals with hearing loss on their existing mobile phones. So this service delivers custom sound adjustments specific to each user for every single incoming and outgoing call on that mobile, or indeed it could be on a fixed line, and there are no apps or other devices required. Intelligent fraud protection is a really interesting user case, I think, showcasing how these advances in AI can be used to protect subscribers and enterprises from fraud. So essentially, AI monitors the customer calls for fraudulent behavior and whispers a warning to them when the AI detects suspicious behavior. And of course, that AI can be constantly updated to look out for the latest fraud techniques employed by bad actors. And then finally, the call branding and the call screening are a couple of ways operators can enable their customers to screen calls and be confident that callers say who they are before they're answered. So with that, I'm going to just showcase a couple of these things. And the first one I'm going to showcase is live call translation. So I'll just go to the full screen. And away we go.
喂，请问您是谁？
Could you please repeat that?
我不知道为什么会接到这个电话。
Sorry, can you please speak in English?
我不知道您在说什么。
Globalization has brought the world closer, yet we struggle to communicate effectively. We are forced to depend on complicated foreign language translation apps or expensive human translators to connect with people across the world. Radisys understands this problem and has come up with a live language translation solution to eliminate these language barriers. Let's take a look at how our live call translator app would have helped in the previous situation. Start by simply inputting the number you want to call. Select the language you prefer to talk in, English in this case, and the language the other person will speak. So that's Chinese. Then click on call.
Thanks for using Radisys real-time language translation service. We are waiting for the called person to pick up the phone and start the conversation.
您好，主教方已请求本次通话的实时翻译服务，请说一些话开始通话。
喂，请问您是谁？
Hello, who are you?
Hi, this is Vidula from Vision Care. You're due for an eye checkup.
嗨，这是 Vision Care 的 Vidula， 你该去做眼科检查了。
哦，谢谢提醒。下一次预约是什么时候？
Oh, thanks for the reminder. When is the next appointment?
Will tomorrow at 4 p.m. be a good time for you?
明天下午4点对你来说是个好时间吗？
当然。
Certainly.
Great, your appointment is confirmed. We'll see you at 4 p.m.
太好了，您的约会已确认，我们下午4点见。
谢谢。
Thanks.
对方已挂断电话，再见。
Live in-call language translation is necessary for expanding global reach. Discussing projects with global partners, providing medical help globally, making education accessible in the remotest of regions, or setting up an international call center. The possibilities are virtually limitless. Our live call translation application can be implemented in many different ways. The capability can be integrated to your telephony, unified communication services, or can be offered as a separate service via web or mobile app. To know more about how you can add the live call
All right, I'll stop it there. The key point I think for this meeting is where operators are really interested is actually having this embedded into their native calls. So you'd be on a mobile, you call some guy, you don't know that he only speaks Chinese, and we can then bring this translation onto the native call. And the reason why that's interesting is because obviously if I can't communicate with the guy, it's very difficult for me to explain to him, I can't speak Chinese, shall we move to a different app or one of the other things that are available. The idea of this is it's actually in the native call, and obviously operators can charge for that. So I've got one last thing, it's a bit shorter. So this last thing then is talking about 5G new calling. And I think it will be self-evident.
The voice calling experience has been the same for decades. We've stretched the cord, cut the cord, abandoned the cord. It's still the same experience Alexander Graham Bell had when he called Watson. That's all about the change with Radisys 5G new calling. Engage 5G new calling turns a simple voice call into an interactive experience. And with no extra hoops to jump through, no apps, no switching to a browser. Operators have a unique opportunity to transform the calling experience and significantly grow their revenues. Let's take a quick look at Engage 5G new calling in action. I'm on a call with my virtual travel assistant, Lola, powered by Radisys Engage.
This is Lola, your personal assistant. How may I help you?
Lola combines interactive calling with in-network conversational Gen AI to transform customer experiences. Hey Lola, can you suggest a few options for an evening out with important clients this weekend?
Yes, of course. Here are the top 3 options for you. Sail through the Mediterranean Sea with snacks, drinks, and live jazz. Try wines and tapas in Montserrat. Watch the world's most marvelous flamenco show at the Barcelona Theater. Would any of these options be of interest to you?
The wine tour sounds great. Could I get more details on the tour?
Awesome. Here is your selection.
Okay, this looks great. I think I'll go ahead and buy a ticket.
Your booking is confirmed. See you soon.
Thank you. Ciao. As you can see, interactive calling with e-commerce is a game changer. Even completing transactions on a call is seamless. You can simply type in your credit card number, keeping your privacy intact. Everything is right there on the call screen. And this is only the beginning. There is so much more that can be achieved with the Engage 5G new calling solution. It's intuitive and real time. Take this opportunity today to reimagine your voice services to consumers, small.
Okay, I'll start it there. So just to finish then, we are all about adding innovative new services, taking advantage of all the new things that are coming down the line around AI, etc., adding them into existing voice services and really helping with that question, which is how do operators actually generate revenue from these solutions. And I'll leave it there, Alex, open to questions, or if the other guys want to go and then we'll have questions at the end, I'll let you run it.
Great, thanks, Ralph. I think there's plenty to dig into there between the call translation and the doing transactions in call, but I think I am keen to make sure that everybody gets their turn. So with that in mind, I'd like to introduce Adlen Santini from Eurecom and his assistant Abdel Kader. So I look forward to putting you on the spot now. And
Okay. Abdelkader will handle this. So Abdelkader, you can go ahead, please.
Yeah, thank you. I will share my screen. Yeah, so do you see my screen?
Yes.
Yeah. Hi, everyone. My name is Abdelkader Mikrash. I'm a PhD candidate at Eurecom, Communication Systems Department. And I work under the supervision of Professor Adlen Santini. And our main interest is the exploration on how to use large language models in order to enhance the network management. So that's what we call next generation network management. So before jumping into the demo, I provide some context about what is intent-based networking and how we use LLMs in order to implement this intent-based networking at our premises. So 6G will be composed of radio access network. Here, this can be composed of different UEs, user equipment, and a base station. We will also have a 6G core network that will handle authentication, session establishment, etc. And after the core network, you have some vertical applications that are deployed at the cloud or the edge and will be used by the UEs. So this is the infrastructure layer of 6G. And in order for the users to interact with this infrastructure, to manage the resources of this infrastructure, etc., we have a management layer between the users and the infrastructure layer. This layer is basically a software, and we call it here the OSS, Operation Support System. And this software will manage this infrastructure, will manage services and resources. So this exists in 5G, but what's different in 6G is that this OSS, management layer, will enable this intent-based networking concept, which will abstract the low-level complexities of the infrastructure and simplify them to the users. So the users will manage this infrastructure using some intentions, the intent of the user. So in the intent, we will have some high-level goals that will be translated by the OSS system into low-level configurations and be applied at the infrastructure. So the steps of the intent-based networking is that we have intent profiling, where the users will introduce these intentions, which are expectations or goals, and these intentions will be translated and activated within the infrastructure. So we have a lot of different actions to be executed within the infrastructure. And at the end, we have some feedback that we will give to the users. So we have intent reporting, right? And in the standards, in order for the users to introduce these goals or intent, the standards are working towards standardizing these structures. For example, in ETSI, we have this structure, which is called NSD, Network Service Descriptor, where the user will introduce the intent of deploying some 6G services and configuring them using this JSON structure. You can see that this JSON structure is not really user-friendly because it is complex to create, especially for users with limited domain knowledge. And therefore, we want to move towards next generation IBN, where the users will use natural language in order to express these intents instead of these structures. So the OSS, as I said, is a software application. It has a lot of endpoints, and each endpoint has its JSON or YAML body. And our goal is to use an approach that will translate this natural language intent into a set of endpoints and execute them within the infrastructure. So for example, for this intent, deploy a 5G communication service on the most available part of the virtualized infrastructure. And this intent requires 3 endpoints at Eurecom's OSS. So we have to call the get infrastructures, get them to retrieve all the available infrastructures. We have to check the availability of resources in all the infrastructures, and then create the service with this post-service create, and we give the NSD as the body of the requests. So mainly we need an AI approach that will translate this natural language intent into multiple OSS API calls with the appropriate YAML JSON bodies for each API call and execute them one by one. Of course, the AI approach we are using is based on large language models because they are the best candidate that can understand this human language. But this set of tasks is complex for one LLM agent to handle. So that's why we are using multiple LLM agents, each responsible for a specific role. So our main approach is we propose this framework called OSS GPT, which is situated here between the users and the OSS. And this OSS GPT is composed of 4 main agents. We have the first agent is called the assistant agent, which is an LLM interacting with the users using natural language. If the intent is regarding managing the infrastructures, this assistant will forward this request to the planner, which will choose the set of API endpoints to use in order to fulfill the user's intention. And then this planner will communicate with the executor that will execute these API calls one by one based on some tools. And then at the end, the reporter will see the conversation between the planner and the executor and report or give feedback to the users using natural language. So implementation details, you can find them at this research paper here. For the demo, we consider having 3 infrastructures, which we call VIMs, Virtualized Infrastructure Managers, that are available in the Eurecom testbed. And in this demo, a user will deploy an Open RAN application, which is an XApp, which is a radio access network subservice, on the second VIM. So for the terminology that we will see in the video, when we say service, which means an end-to-end service that can be composed of a radio access network subservice, a core network subservice, and application subservice here. And these subservices can be deployed on some infrastructure, and we call this infrastructure VIM in the video. So let's see the video. This is the front end of Eurecom's OSS, and we can manage infrastructures and services. For example, here we have 3 infrastructures, 3 clusters that are in different regions at Eurecom. And for the services, we have 2 services. For example, the first service is composed of one core network subservice that is deployed on the second VIM, and one radio access network subservice deployed on the third VIM. So now let's see how an engineer uses OSS GPT in order to manage this infrastructure using natural language. So for example, this is an intent that the user will introduce, create a new service with some name, and this service will contain one radio access network subservice, which will contain the Open RAN application, the KPM XApp. The user also in the intent can provide some configuration parameters, like here the image from this image repository. And then this subservice should be deployed on the second infrastructure, on the second VIM. So this intent is related to managing infrastructure for sure. So the assistant will forward the intent to the planner. And you can see here the different exchanges between the planner and the executor. So the planner is planning the set of API calls and sending one by one to the executor that is executing them within the infrastructure, in order, of course, to fulfill the user's intent. Here you can see the message from the reporter that the service has been created successfully and running. And you can see here the different messages between the planner and executor. So, for example, list the available services, then list the packages to see if the Open RAN application exists. It is not, so the planner will decide to create this KPM XApp, as you can see here. And for creation, we need to generate the NSD, the structure from the ETSI standards. So this is a tool that will generate this NSD, and for this we created this LLM specialized at generating this NSD. After the NSD is generated, we will create the service and deploy it on the second VIM. You can see here in the OSS logs the set of API endpoints that have been used. And also in the front end, you can see that the demo service is created, containing one radio access network subservice deployed on the second VIM that contains the Open RAN application, the XApp, and it is instantiated and running. So in the video, this is what happened. You can see that the user introduced only this high-level natural language intent, and everything was done by OSS GPT. And you can see that it is very simple to manage this network compared to conventional approaches where the user will use the OSS APIs. So this is intent profiling using natural language. And then intent translation and activation was done here by OSS GPT. And at the end, we have the feedback, the intent reporting. So this simplified the conventional approach where the user will call the API endpoints and generate the NSD. Now, he is using only natural language intent to manage the network, and this is what we call next generation network management. So with that said, I would like to thank you for your attention.
Thanks very much, Abdelkader. That was really interesting, and I'm sure that there will be plenty of questions about that. I want to make sure that Sriram from Aarav Solutions also has the opportunity to take the stage. I believe Sriram's also got a video to share, but Sriram, over to you. I'll leave it up to you how you want to take this forward.
Thanks, Alex. I'll just say a few quick words about the company, and then we could go ahead with the video. My name is Sriram. Please call me Ram. I'm the CTO of Aarav Solutions. We are a product engineering and IT consulting company enabling digital transformation for clients across telecom, energy and utility sectors. And we are experienced in generative AI, leveraging Google Vertex AI, Cohere, and OpenAI APIs, including advanced voice and conversational AI on enterprise cloud platforms. Really strong Python development teams that can rapidly build, prototype, and integrate AI solutions that automate processes, enhance CX, and unlock new value. And strategic partnerships include Oracle Gold Partner, Google Cloud Partner for Build Solutions, Salesforce CPQ Partner. And there is a preamble in the video, and we could quickly move on to the video and the demo minutes. Please, if you could play that. Yeah.
Great, will do.
At Aarav Solutions, expertise spans industries such as telecom, energy and utilities, and smart cities. CSPs today struggle with complex data models, excessive customizations, and disconnected systems. This leads to manual work, reactive service, and limited insights. As a result, organizations face slow decision-making and lack the agility needed to stay competitive. InsightForge lets CSPs interact with their data in natural language, creating reports and dashboards instantly, without IT support, and keeping all data securely within their own ecosystem. Trained on telecom-specific processes, it works with existing OSS/BSS systems, supports automation, and is fully configurable for each CSP's unique needs. This demo is powered by Oracle Billing and Revenue Management, but InsightForge is designed to work seamlessly with any modern billing system. We'll now walk through the demo from the perspective of several key roles. With InsightForge, users interact just as they would with ChatGPT or any modern chat interface, making it intuitive and engaging to ask questions or dig deeper with follow-up queries. The platform not only encourages exploration, but also includes built-in automation tools so you can act directly on the insights you discover. Role-based security ensures every user only accesses data they're authorized to see. And for added convenience, users can either type their questions or simply speak into the prompt, with the system automatically transcribing their requests. Imagine a business analyst or finance professional who wants a complete picture of product revenue performance, monthly trends, best and worst performers, year-to-date and year-over-year comparisons, all without building complex reports or needing to know the underlying data structure. With InsightForge, they simply ask their question in natural language, and the system delivers accurate, tabular results right on the interface. There's no need to pre-build anything. InsightForge understands the relationships between databases and tables, automatically generating and executing the required queries on the fly. InsightForge has been trained to be more efficient and knowledgeable than a human data engineer, producing insights in seconds that would otherwise take hours. InsightForge also offers smart features like one-click sharing via email, the ability to tag and organize prompts for later retrieval, and a configuration menu to personalize these options, making insight sharing and collaboration seamless for everyone. The system makes it easy for users to spot and investigate downtrends in product adoption or sales. Once a downward trend is identified, users can double-click, diving deeper with follow-up questions or by InsightForge also offers smart features like one-click sharing via email, the ability to tag and organize prompts for later retrieval, and a configuration menu to personalize these options, making insight sharing and collaboration seamless for everyone. InsightForge also offers smart features like one-click sharing via email, the ability to tag and organize prompts for later retrieval, and a configuration menu to personalize these options, making insight sharing and collaboration seamless for everyone. The system makes it easy for users to spot and investigate downtrends in product adoption or sales. Once a downward trend is identified, users can double-click, diving deeper with follow-up questions or by comparing multiple time periods, all through simple prompts. The system intelligently chains together multiple queries behind the scenes to deliver a single consolidated insight, bringing together data from different sources and steps so users get a complete answer without any manual effort. With InsightForge, results are instantly visualized as tables, charts, or graphs, so users get clear context at a glance. You can also correlate different types of data, for example, linking ticketing records with billing information, to quickly identify root causes, such as how auto-renewals on value-added services might lead to customer refunds. InsightForge is designed to support deployment in non-English speaking countries, offering robust local language interaction capabilities right out of the box. For example, users can interact with the system seamlessly in Spanish or Japanese, as shown here, instantly receiving accurate results in their preferred language. This enables CSPs to empower their entire workforce and customer base, no matter where they operate, breaking down language barriers and driving adoption across regions. All queries are executed in near real time, directly on the CSP's own databases, ensuring sensitive information never leaves your environment. We'll now explore some real-world use cases where InsightForge brings together both billing and ticketing data, including technical faults for broadband services, to pinpoint which issues are driving customer churn and impacting revenue. For example, you can instantly uncover what proportion of disputed payments are linked to tickets mentioning billing issues and see the total amount at risk. You can also identify which diagnostic error types are most commonly associated with refunds, helping to prioritize technical improvements. And, perhaps most critically, you can quickly determine which accounts are most likely to churn based on recent ticket interactions and recurring faults, along with the specific ticket categories involved. By connecting these data points, the system empowers CSPs to proactively address service and billing challenges, ultimately reducing churn and safeguarding revenue. Another powerful use case for InsightForge is its ability to intelligently read and analyze dense contract documents and then automatically reconcile that information with billing and financial data from various databases. For CSPs, mismatches between contracted prices and invoiced amounts are a persistent pain point. Every disputed invoice can directly impact cash flow. In this example, CSP contract, and will demonstrate how InsightForge extracts key pricing terms and compares them against charge items and invoices from the billing system. Typically, when such discrepancies arise, a contact center staff member or account manager creates a trouble ticket and escalates it to back-office teams for investigation, a process that is time-consuming and labor-intensive. The person who raised the ticket can now do the investigations quickly without having to rely on back-end engineers. They can quickly ask for the charges that don't match with the contract items. With Insight Forge, these investigations are accelerated and streamlined, allowing faster identification and resolution of mismatches, ultimately reducing payment delays and improving cash flow for the CSP. In the previous example, we saw how Insight Forge streamlines investigations after a dispute has already been raised. Now let's look at a proactive approach, identifying billing and contract mismatches even before invoices are sent out. For instance, with a simple prompt, you can ask Insight Forge to show all customers from New Jersey whose total invoice amount for March 2025 exceeds $2,500, and where invoice details don't match their contracts. This allows your team to catch and correct discrepancies early, preventing disputes before they happen. By enabling these kinds of proactive operational decisions, Insight Forge helps CSPs reduce revenue leakage, improve customer satisfaction, and ensure billing accuracy from the start. Insight Forge is designed to be highly efficient and accessible, running on standard commodity hardware without the need for GPUs. It leverages Google Cloud Vertex AI to interpret user prompts, dynamically creates an action plan, and determines the best execution path to fetch data in near real time, delivering actionable insights quickly to users. A key advantage is data residency. All data remains securely within the CSP's ecosystem, ensuring privacy and compliance. There's zero risk of hallucinations, as all insights are generated directly from your own data. Insight Forge exposes insights as REST APIs, allowing seamless integration with your preferred visualization tools. It supports multi-language interactions and is specifically trained on telecom semantics, making it the perfect analytics solution for CSPs operating in diverse markets.
Just a couple of closing thoughts on this. So where this is useful for new businesses, be able to uncover trends and spot opportunities. So Insight Forge is actually used behind the scenes for CSPs, from executives to business analysts, and they can instantly access market intelligence, analyze emerging trends and spot opportunities. So it's more how they use the system to launch new business, as well as being able to offer this as analytics as a service to MVNOs, resellers, or B2B enterprise customers. Yeah.
Great, thank you. And so with that, I feel like there's already plenty for us to think about. I'd like to hand over to the panel here to see what you make of this. We've seen effectively 4 demos here between call translation, the transactions in call, intent-based network management, and the natural language questioning of Telco's own data. So, I mean, maybe, Scott, we introduced you last. Maybe we can get your feedback here on what really resonated with you there, if anything, or if this is a case of sitting back and going, I've seen all this before. I mean, where do you stand with this?
I mean, obviously, there's a degree of familiarity with what we see, and I thought there was one slide by Radisys that had about 6 to 8 use cases on, which seemed to cover quite a lot of the spectrum of sort of novel sort of telco technological developments with a view to product innovation, and they broadly, you know, what I took away from all the presentations in aggregate is, in terms of trying to generate more revenue for operators, we've got B2C models, B2B models, and then sort of operational efficiency. The first 2 ideally create new revenue streams. The last one is more about lowering overheads and OPEX and that sort of thing. And I think, I mean, what I've taken from this and generally is, in terms of new revenue, there's some interesting B2B ones, like that live translation seem very compelling. And I presume that's a B2B model where a call center or whoever subscribes to this thing, rather than the B2C model where the end user is asked to do some micropayment. And so I think there's some interesting B2B stuff, and there's definitely to do with AI and to do with some of the OSS developments we're hearing about, some great efficiencies. I suppose the negative I'd end on is here we are, wherever we are in the middle of the 5G cycle. I've yet to see any sort of compelling B2C new revenue opportunities for operators. So that's it, really. I don't really have a question. Those are just observations, and I guess I'm curious to know whether anyone else agrees with what I've said, or different perspectives or whatever.
I'll turn over to Ian and Keith then, and get your comments on that.
I can go briefly. So thanks everyone for their interesting presentations. It is these sort of events that do shine a light on some interesting developments and companies trying to, as initially said by Alex, push the boundaries or push the industry forward. All three of them I thought were interesting. It is one of the things, I think the first two in particular, talking about natural languages, might have been mentioned the last one, but I'll come back to that in a minute. But of course, that basically also predicates that the person that is asking the question is asking the right question to the AI and knows what the consequences are. And so anyway, just to comment on that the AI is going to be only as good as two things. As one, the person that's sort of the input side as to what needs to be queried. And the other thing, which is we could spend a whole afternoon on, is where's the data coming from? How have we managed making sure that the data the AI is working off is correct and accurate, which is the bane of every operator, as we know, is that, and that's why you also don't see, generally speaking, on the network side, there are a lot of use cases being mentioned, because actually the data, particularly on the B2B side of the operators, is fragmented and often incorrect historically. So that's why you don't hear too many shout outs about that. I think from a question perspective, well, let's say just go through it from a slightly different angle, is that I also have a podcast, Digital Talk, so please look it up if you're interested in how we can create a better world using telecoms. But I actually think, to Scott's comment about it being a B2B application in the call center, was actually not the one I thought of relating to the natural language. I actually thought of as a B2C, or even actually obviously people speaking to each other. So I can see situations where you might have your grandma not being able to speak to the child or granddaughter because they have different languages. So that was something that crossed my mind around that one. I personally have quite a lot of knowledge of the intent-based area. I'm working with the company in that space as well. Interesting to see it from a higher level perspective. The last one, I thought, particularly the use case of billing consolidation and accuracy. I know that's a big challenge for operators, and it's good to see a solution to try and knock that one on the head. But yeah, overall, as I say, I think they're all good presentations. I don't think I have a specific question at this point.
Sure, thanks. And Keith, it'd be good to get your thoughts on this and see what stood out for you amongst these presentations.
Sure. Well, I mean, look, all good demos. I thought that, you're looking at the translation demo and the 5G new calling, as it was described, demo with a sort of integrated e-commerce in the call, and you think, yeah, that makes sense. And then you think, well, hold on, it's sort of an AI wrapper around what were value-added services where telcos have trodden and got beaten before. And then I started to wonder, if I wanted to book this corporate thing at the weekend, would I do that on a phone call? If I do it on a phone call, what's the benefit to the telco really of that? What's the business model? I'm not presumably paying extra. Then you get into some sort of marketing relationship or referrals. I'm not sure what the revenue model really is on the upside there. On the translation, I was wondering, what what number of, what's the actual market volume there? How many calls really require that sort of in-call translation? And if so, again, I think the presenter said, telcos could charge for that, but I was wondering how much really. And I think, we've seen, as we've moved through sort of IMS, RCS type discussions, implementations, how that has been really challenging for telcos to become that point of interaction and engagement. On the intent-based networking, I without a doubt, I think network operations are clearly going to move towards a sort of AI ops piece. There's already lots of work, as we've seen, being done in natural language interrogation, instruction, obviously with a huge amount of verification required. And I think that's going to be a key challenge really for all of those areas. It's more of a wider AI challenge to ensure that you're closing the loop of what the intent is to what's actually happening. And then of course, if you're talking about liability and from a business model point of view, you're trying to push forward on SLAs and then open up new enterprise business, that becomes absolutely business critical. And the other thing that struck me there was that there's a huge amount of work going on in that by the big established vendors, so who will very much defend that space with their lives. So I'm interested what the path forward is there. So yeah, those were my initial thoughts on those areas.
Thanks. And I mean, that does cover off a great deal. I think actually purely by coincidence, a lot of these did have that AI element in common. And certainly what we're hearing from the audience here is a lot of talk about this. As they point out, one challenge with this is, as I think you mentioned as well, Ian, how do you actually firstly make sure that you know what the user means, and then secondly, how you measure whether that intent has been translated properly. And it feels as though in all of these cases, this might be a question for all three companies actually, is how are you able to build this in when fundamentally we've got humans who are historically very fallible, but then also that point about no hallucinations was really very striking, but I think also very significant in that people are aware that AIs do come out with some fairly odd results. So this is something that may be applicable to all three of you. I'll start, if I may, with Adnan and see if those are issues that you've experienced so far as well.
Okay, regarding this question, I mean, we are also, doing, I mean, the demo does not cover, because 8 minutes is not that much, I mean, cover this intent negotiation, because when the user create an intent, there is different validation that are done. First, you need to ensure that the intent is syntaxically correct and semantically correct. This is the first step. So if I would say the intent is not enough to be enforced as a network service, so there is a negotiation, which means that in our system, the LLM is having like the intelligence in order to ensure that the intent is syntactically correct and semantically correct. So we are using extra algorithms that are behind the scene, using sometimes reinforcement learning with human feedback in order to ensure that there is like a closed control loop. When we are sure that the human intent, language intent is, I would say, containing the necessary information, then we go for the translation into infrastructure, a configuration.
Great, thank you. Ram, this might be also a useful question to get your feedback on, actually, with the question around the hallucinations and so forth.
Absolutely, that's a great question. The zero hallucinations claim doesn't just come from training on internal data. So what makes it more reliable is in the architecture. So every answer that you see is generated by translating the question into a set of actions and structured queries that run on actual data sources. It's never made up by the AI. Okay. And the system, of course, uses RAG, retrieval augmented generation, and schema validations, so that it can only present facts that truly exist in that particular environment. So what you do get is always audit-ready, traceable insights with no risk of fabricated results. So that's fundamentally different from what a generic LLM that might improvise on an answer. So that's where the zero hallucinations claim essentially comes from. And on the user inputs, we are combining advanced natural language understanding with robust input validations as well. When a user submits a query, whether it's a simple question or a complex analytical request, the system first interprets that intent and it extracts all the relevant entities, and it maps those to what needs to be done to the underlying data schemas, and then it then executes those actions. So if a query is ambiguous or incomplete, then you proactively engage the user with prompts or clarification questions. And that reduces the risks of errors and misinterpretation. If you saw the demo video, there were also feedback loops, which you can provide to the system during its training stage. This is where training that on the telecom specific semantics, on that particular CSP specific semantics or business processes also help. So that guided approach also helps users refine their questions and until they are certain about their particular requirements, and the real-time feedback ensures any mistakes or missing information address. So the final insight is both accurate and actionable. So it's not only validating the inputs, it's also by learning from ongoing interactions and closing that feedback loop, adapting to the company-specific terminology, that you keep improving on the accuracy and the responsiveness.
Great, thank you. And I'll turn over to Radisys as well, to Adnan and Ralph as well, because there have been a lot of questions and comments around particularly the live translation service that you were talking about, and how that would work. Again, I'm sure that people would be terrified if they thought that what's being translated isn't accurate, or maybe conveys the wrong kind of messages. So it'd be good just to understand from you how confident you can be in something if it's powered by AI.
Okay. I'll answer it from a slightly different angle. So when we've been doing this, and whether it's the translation or the fraud or some of the other things we talked about, we are very aware, as are the operators, how we need to not only, if you like, get it right, but meet regulatory requirements. So in some cases, it might be, let's say we're doing a translation for a doctor. So one of the really good user cases is someone's taken ill in the UK, doesn't speak English very well, and the doctor then talks to them using a translation agent. Well, that needs to be held in private. It might be an on-prem or in the premises of the operator translation solution, whereas there are others which are more generic kind of just questions where you might go out to a cloud-based AI. So my quick answer, because I know we haven't got time, and I'll hand over to Adnan just to close, is that you've got to really think about not just how does the application work and what's the AI doing, but what am I doing with the data? Where's the AI and the speech to text and the text to speech and all that stuff being done as part of the overall service design, which we've been doing when we've been talking to people. Adnan, I don't know if you want to add anything.
Yeah, I think in language translation, there's a lot of accuracy aspects that are built into these models, and then they can be reported and post-processed for further improvement. So as you're going through a conversation, it's being translated, it will then be post-processed internally by the system to determine by using many different models. So you maybe deploy one model, but you'll take the translated voice or audio and in a background further on to run it across multiple different models and consolidate the results. And then over time, you improve the accuracy as well. But these days, we're finding the accuracies to be quite high, actually, and it's surprisingly high that that you're going to get fairly accurate results. I mean, that the generative AI may give you different responses back, but the accuracy level is actually pretty quite high already.